We are at a big paradigm shift, like you said. Consciousness is growing. I think the biggest evil is the vaccine, big pharma, and what some very wealthy people are doing to poison our bodies, poison the air, poison the food, the water.
Natalie Lefevre is a global wellness leader and longevity advocate who helps people live longer, healthier, and more conscious lives. A former corporate executive turned biohacker and coach, she now guides high performers towards balance, vitality, and purpose through her retreats and educational work.
Pick 3 horrible people in your life and take 3 good people and put them all in the same party. Like, tell me what their conversations are like. And what I learned through that exercise was that no matter how you see this person as evil, like, I would have never seen this.
This is such an important point that we have to really hammer home, because we live in a very polarized world, and it's amazing how easy it is to understand both sides. The most important thing is like how we can create.
The future of longevity is being shaped in Geneva this October. The Global Longevity Summit is an intimate gathering at the Genolia Innovation Hub, running from October the 28th to the 30th, with pioneers like Aubrey de Grey, Matt Kaberlein, and Amy Killen. I am grateful to be joining as an advisor. And if you would like to be there too, you can get 10% off tickets with the code BEYONDTOMORROW. Just check the description for the link. I'll see you there.
Natalie,
Yes.
if there's one thing you're hoping our listeners can get from this conversation, what do you hope it is?
I would hope to reach some people's hearts and create the knowledge that there is potential to healing, that it does exist, that it's not like, oh, you got to go to a doctor and you're stuck. There is so much more out there. That would be my wish, is to touch people's hearts and lives for growth.
You told me your story yesterday. It is fascinating and very unique. So take us to Seychelles, late 70s.
Late 70s. So I was born in the Seychelles Islands. I'm an island girl, 7 degrees below the equator. I'm African. And my father's from there, his whole generation. We're British Commonwealth. My mother's German. And then they overthrew the government. The vice president overthrew the president. It was a traumatic time. They came, my father was kind of like a freedom fighter, very man of integrity. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And I remember they came to pick him up in the police car that day, and they killed some of his friends and changed our life forever. We had to escape, and we were refugees, went to Munich, Germany, which was where my grandmother lived. And then my dad couldn't speak German. It was quite cold, and we ended up in Houston, Texas. So those are my 3. Yeah. So those are my 3 points of home. And I've also lived in London 5 years, actually. So yeah.
When I think of people that have gone on a journey of healing or understanding of self, usually there is a rock bottom moment.
Yes.
For you, what was your rock bottom moment?
Well, I think I've had more than one. So yeah, definitely I worked a lot on that abandonment trauma issue that day when my father was picked up by the police, and I thought he didn't come home. And I've gone back and worked on that moment a lot because, I was 4 or 5 years old, and I saw my mom chasing the car, frantic, and I'll never forget, I could tell my dad had his hands behind his back, and he was just looking at me as the car went by and it left the gate, and I would cry all the time about this moment because it was the first time I saw him weak, and I didn't know what I was lost. I was, my whole energy center was just taken from me. And then I think the second moment in my life was when I got severely ill at like age 30 and almost died. They misdiagnosed me. I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And this was in Germany, with great doctors, best hospital. And I was 50 kilos, and I caught a virus, didn't know what. And I was in the hospital in the cancer ward during Christmas. And my ex-husband at the time, 0 support. And I felt very alone, and watching this lady next to me being told that the chemo didn't work, and, she may have only so many weeks to live. attacked my rib cage, went to different organs. It was a very scary time. I still work on that because it was an emotionally very scary time. And then the third big one was losing my best friend, my father, my beloved daddy, who has always been my person. I'm very family oriented, but he was my person. I would talk to him almost every day. He was not just a father. He was also, you know, my man, my best friend. I've been single for a little while, so he was my talk to person. And I told him get a MRI. I did the Prenuvo. I told him he was going to his doctors every 4 months, and they failed him. They were on his WhatsApp. They didn't do labs. Blood work is not enough. And so I had to let him go. I had to let him go sooner than what I know is fair. If we had been able to catch things and I was out of the country and I trusted his doctor was doing the right diagnostics or MRI, and it was in the wrong location. And so he went into the hospital, and all of a sudden, surprise, stage 4 cancer, metastasized with a kidney infection. And I was helpless. And I definitely fought the fight as much as I could. And I had things I could have done if it had only been the cancer, but he also had the kidney infection, which was in failure. So I had 2 big, you know, mountains to climb. And I'm someone that I always make it work. I always figure it out. There's always a way. I don't believe in giving up. And yeah, I had to let him go, which was pretty tough. That was pretty tough. Yeah.
And that was last year, right?
That was a year ago in May. Yeah. And, you know, very, very painful. I do a lot of work in the wellness space, but this one was the biggest challenge in my life. And I realized molecules of emotion, we hold, you know, the body keeps score. And I knew that this sadness, this deep grief, which has, you know, I've had more purpose now through the grief, through pain. And, but it was definitely life-changing for me. And now he's my angel. I still talk to him every now and then. I can call him if I want. Like you know, some people might think that's crazy, but I've always been clairvoyant. I've always had this connection to Mother Nature and energy and animals. Growing up on a beach in the Seychelles Islands, and to us it's normal. You can speak to the dead and respect them. And so I've learned not to say I lost him. He has gone to heaven. Heaven needed him more than me to go do whatever he needs to do. But yeah, he's my light and my angel, and I've been able to just 20x my life since then in the way that I wanted to go. And the people, he was also my inspiration to say, I'm getting up on stage. I'm going to heal lives. I'm going to make a difference in people's, you know, trajectory of life and quality of life, and speak my voice and have more courage, because I kind of did have courage, but we all have moments of fear, and I still have them. And what I really, really have learned is, like, on the other side of fear is courage, and that life that you really dream of. And I feel, so I'm in gratitude of those gifts he's given me, the gifts of, you know, living my deep, passionate life, hanging out with more people like you, you know, who are also doing good in the world and supporting each other to help change people's, you know, futures. And, yeah, and just always honoring him and honoring my soul's purpose that I've figured out, you know, more and more. Everything is so something simple that I used to, that I worked on was, you know, instead of saying he was 77, he was too young, he was taken from me, I have flipped the narrative and reframed it into, I am in gratitude that I had him for 77 years, that I, you know, could have been sooner that he left with some, I'm in gratitude that I was with him in the hospital. I'm in gratitude that he wasn't just taken from me, that I had conscious time to know okay, I can say the things I want. I can consciously hold his hand and know at some point he's going. And don't get me wrong, right now I'm pretty good. Like, I have moments where I cry and I don't care if I'm going to cry. Like, I'm not going to hold it back anymore. I want, us to speak about death and normalize talking about death, about pre-planning for death. Like, hey, how do you want to go? What do you really want to do? And hey, this is what, like, now I tell my sister, I want you to know that if something happens to me, that I've lived an incredible life and I'm so happy, and I don't want you to be sad or suffer, and know that I will come back and visit you and show you signs that I'm coming and I'm around and I'm watching over you.
Can I just say that you've turned grief into gratitude. Yes. And that is a process that is pretty difficult to get to, especially after just 1.5 years. And it takes a lifetime, or hopefully shorter, to have the mindset and to be able to shift thoughts and words to our brain, our conscious, our subconscious advantage. How have you gone on that journey?
A lot of work.
What's that work look
So
like?
last summer when it all happened, I was, of course, in shock. And because of all the meditation, Joe Dispenza coaching, all this other stuff, I feel like God was preparing me. And I was very conscious, and I went silent. I didn't want to go to the summer holiday stuff. I wanted to be silent. I went into nature. I wanted to give myself the time to grieve and sleep and rest. And I did a psychedelic journey as well, because I knew some things you can't get out of your mind. It's faster I didn't want anything to get locked into my organs with the lung. I worked a lot on my lungs. It was tight, and my solar plexus from breathing. And so I did I haven't done ayahuasca. That's a little heavy. I'm scared, but I did the MDMA heart opener with a ketamine shot. And I did, my guide was amazing. I did 6 hours of crying, straight crying. And I literally heard noises come out of me that I think I've never heard in my life. And he showed up. I felt my father showed up. I held his hand. He was at my side. I had tons of downloads because I had a lot of pressure because, I was nervous. My sister, they were good, but it wasn't perfect. And I told everybody in the hospital, don't say anything to him. I chose not to let him suffer and worry. I wanted him to have joy those last days in the hospital. I didn't want to be like, hey, Papa, you're dying. So let's, I didn't want him to be sad and depressed. I wanted to protect him from that. And so I had a lot of guilt. And did I do that right? Did I give everybody the chance? And so I had to release all that. And the psychedelic journey was definitely a quick, fast, rapid acceleration and
of the healing process.
Being quiet, not getting distractions, not being like in Mykonos or Saint-Tropez or Capri and some social events. I would just cut it all. I stopped drinking completely. I mean, I don't socially drink even.
Why?
Well, my dad liked to drink. He enjoyed a drink or two, mostly wine, but I saw him lose his body. He wanted to stay. He did know in that moment when it was happening that he was leaving, and he said 2 things to me. He said, promise me you'll take care of yourself. And the second one was, don't fight with your sister. So I will honor him forever because he's given me more life by saying that, by watching him. And he, my dad had a joie de vivre. Everybody knew Papa. Papa was everybody's Papa. He was this man of life for everybody. He would get me followers in Costa Rica walking on the beach. He's like, look at my daughter, and people would send me pictures and videos and talk to me. And so I had this beautiful group of friends from him. But so connecting to them also was healing. He gave me this beautiful new family from his walks on the beach, from his friends. I did breathwork breathwork was really amazing.
As in like
an hour of,
holotropic,
yeah,
kind of
like a true
conscientious.
breath work. Like, it was releasing, and because we hold tight and have to be so strong, and screw that. I don't want to be strong. I think showing weakness is strength. Showing that I don't know how to do everything great. That's strength. And so I, would be in the middle of somewhere and I would just start crying, and I don't want to hold it back. I'm going to just like release. Releasing is so important. So I was very aware of all that. So then I did another technique that's amazing. This guy, Stefan, in the Villa Eden in Murano, where he connects your body at first. And then I did this deep meditation where I was able to face my father and say goodbye, because technically I didn't really have the goodbye talk, and cord cutting. So cord cutting, where I gave him back his energy, and then I went around and I stepped into his footsteps and looked at me, and he gave me back part of me, and I gave him back part of him. That was truly, just that was beautiful. Grief is the highest form of love. And so
why do you think that?
Loving someone is truly letting them go and being okay that they can go on their journey. Oh, that's getting me a little, I've never had to really talk about it like that. But yeah, like I love him so much that I will let him go on the path that the universe or God has for him. And I know he will always come back, because our connection, he will always come check on me. And I also found an incredible medium out of Newport Beach. And so whenever I want, and I really want to like talk to him, I know how to connect on that level. And yeah, I think that, I can't keep him just for me. It's not about owning someone, right?
And you say when people grieve, it's that kind of like holding on, or
Yeah.
is that what you're referring to? I
think we need to normalize talking about grief and changing it, and being, most people, what I learned, shut the door and I'm okay. I don't want to talk. My sister did that. I've seen it with other people, and I'm like, cry, talk about it. It's okay. It's okay to say you're hurting. It's okay to be, in a Starbucks and be like, it's okay. Like, why do we need to hide and shut off our feelings? Shutting off our feelings is not the solution for you or others. So my journey was also to help my sister heal, because I love her and I know that's what my dad wanted. And I know my father doesn't want me to suffer. I know my dad wants me to be happy and live my life. I know what he wants, and I want to always honor him and respect that. So I definitely was daddy's little girl. My dad's a very simple man, big love. And I just, it's
such an interesting, thank you for sharing. That's all. It's really,
I'm
thank
glad
you
I
for being,
get to, because it's healing for me to always talk about it. And nowadays I don't go that in depth, and it's healing for others to also know. Like, another thing I learned was they're still there. We don't die.
Well, this is the interesting thing, because you have, especially in the US, you have a lot of Christians who, of course, believe in the afterlife, and there are...
I'm Catholic.
So it's... and then around the world, you have a lot of religious folk who believe in incarnation, reincarnation, or the afterlife, but we obviously have a segment of the Western world that really don't believe in God, and other parts of the world as well. And so getting their head around clairvoyance, or the idea of something that feels almost magical or spiritual, or when people think about the afterlife or spirits or talking through mediums and all this, it's... Where I see it going is that we're going to have a few paradigm shifts in the next few years. And as we become more connected through, we've talked about AI being that kind of, that portal to connect us more to our consciousness. But as we start asking the question of, we know nothing, there is so much more to our existence and to the world than we can ever compute with our current minds, that the conversation of they are still here becomes a conversation
Well, I believe that as children, we all grow up knowing and feeling these things and being clairvoyant. We learn a certain identity, in your culture, from your dad, from your daily work, whatever. So I don't even blame, I have complete compassion and understanding for people who are 30 or 50 and say, no, that I'm atheist and whatever. And like, I get it, but we are taught to think with our head and what we understand in this 3D world. But we were all babies and we were all 4 or 5 or 6 and we've all had trauma, some version, because it's in that moment, it's about the belief that you place to it. You and I can experience the same thing, but the meaning we put to it is different. And so we are all one.
That's a very interesting thing.
We are all connected through every single trees are senescent beings, so and I believe, even though I'm Catholic, I believe we all share the same God. There's only one. And Bible and books have been changed and rewritten over time. And I believe we are taught to be separated, but we shouldn't be. And so I would say to these atheists or whatever, I believe that they've evolved from stories of trauma, culture, identity. If you're in finance world, you're taught to think here, and we're disconnecting from the heart and mind. And I've had those moments too in my life. I've had those phases. Like, I get it. We've all been there. And I think my father going to heaven has brought me back to my roots of, no, I was so afraid of death when that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, we're not invincible. You forget, and we're taught as human beings to forget, but like, we're so disconnected by the world we live in with our iPhone and go here, go there, get your coffee, move, go to work, then, my kids, my whatever, like, so coming back to realizing that we are electromagnetic beings, and that when we reconnect to that heart, your divine energy center, when you're in a good mood, you attract good things. When you're in the, didn't sleep or whatever, you're attracting different stuff. Your whole day goes, you have a trajectory of your day based on your mood.
It's so interesting. So I have a lot of people in the longevity space who listen into the podcast, and like, rightfully or wrongfully, a lot of people in longevity will say, look at the facts, look at the science. This is what science tells us. Until I have the evidence base to think otherwise, I'm going to believe that life ends at this point. The only issue with this, and I talk about this pessimistic meta-induction theory quite a lot, which is this idea that science is the most accurate version of the truth today. It doesn't mean it's going to be true tomorrow. There is so much we don't know. I'm not saying science is wrong. What I'm saying is there is so much to figure out. And I'm so excited to see how things will unravel. As someone asked me, when do I want to die? And I said to them, I want to die when I know what consciousness is. I want to die when I have a few more answers of who we are and why we're here and what our responsibility is and why things unfold the way they do.
Since this assassination, to me, it's really important to think about, what is the legacy I want to leave behind?
You're referring to Charlie Kirk.
Yes. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any negative news. I worked for a news channel. These are negative things you put in your head before you go to sleep. What do you think you're going to dream about? Yeah. Where do you think your energy flow is going to go? And this one really hit me. Also paired with the lady, the Ukrainian girl that was stabbed in the, subway. And to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I saw my first murder on social media. That's where we're going. How heavy is that? Like, it makes me really sad. And I don't want to be sad. We're going off on a tangent, but I do think that, there's darkness and there's light in this world. I want to be a part of that journey to help people always go towards the light. I have so many friends that knew him personally that are like, oh, we got to fight. We got to do this back. And I'm like, no, that's what darkness wants you to do. Don't choose like that.
And we're getting political here, but to who? I think that's
I think it's a general energy of darkness.
Yeah.
And so we want to choose the light and be these light beings. I believe we are at a big paradigm shift, like you said. Consciousness is growing. The vaccine was a huge, big step for people to make a choice and say, I stand here, I want to go here, I want to grow here. And you had to realize that, I think the biggest evil is, the vaccine, big pharma, and what some very wealthy people are doing to poison our bodies, poison the air, poison the food, the water. So that's my personal, and I think that underlying whatever subject it is, whether it's Charlie or big pharma, there's darkness and light. And so being sure that I'm always living in my right light and whatever can affect me to make the right choice to give good and spread good. And some of us I think this is a big turning point as well for the conscious community to be like, okay, we have more work to do and more love to give. Because the only way to heal is love. And not to, during these horrible, horrendous scenarios, to go to the other side and be tainted. Because that's what darkness wants.
So I'm going to hold every person in any community, let's say conscious, biohacking, whatever community, to the mission of the podcast is human flourishing for all. And so we have to define as a world, what is our vision? What do we want the world to look like? Because at the moment, the issue that we have, apart from being heart-led and led by love, it looks slightly different for people. It comes down to politics, it comes down to religion, it comes down to approach to, pro-life, pro-choice, so many things. But there are definitely things that we can agree on that we're not agreeing on right now. In terms of a world, according to Natalie, what's that look like?
Well, my world is I wear my pink sunglasses, right now the yellow, but I don't watch the news. My goal is I can't change a lot of the bad things that happen in many different countries. So I try to shut off in my own little world and create my own world and try to do good where I can and spread that and help people to have less suffering. Because I believe that, so many people aren't really thinking about their health, doing the right labs, trusting a traditional doctor. So if I can touch a couple of lives, when I give, it always comes back to me. And I really do believe that, I'm a servant of God. I want to support others who are doing that too, because together we are stronger and the light is always stronger than the darkness, and helping people during those moments of weakness and moments of fear for the better collective and consciousness. That's my world. I like to just, take care of my family, the people I love, follow my passion and grow this goal of mine, which gives me great pleasure and happiness. And I will always still travel, but I will definitely retire in the Seychelles Islands someday. It's my home. It's my earth. It's nature. I love free diving. I love being down there and having respect and kind of teaching that. Right now, my nephew, he's 13. He's a big part of my life. I want to give him the tools to let him know that, quantum physics and energy and, not just black and white. So planting seeds in people, that's my world. And learning also. I think curiosity is the biggest life hack. I want to keep growing and I want to share that with people.
Because you talked about oneness before. And I feel that we just had Christian Drapo on the podcast and he talks about that oneness as well. And it's just this, I think this is the big wake up call for the world, but also the industry. It's you can't heal yourself without healing everything. So it's you start with yourself, but we are all one. And so that connection between other individuals, Earth, it's tough because not everyone is perfect and a lot of people are going through a lot of things, but it's how do you step by step start to heal?
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about, yes, there's the labs and the protocols, but true luxury is a calm nervous system. when your nervous system has the right frequency and you are really relaxed and not just like in fight or flight, then you can heal. You can't heal before that. So helping people understand the tools, how to get there, because so many people are just kind of shut off. And I keep saying, this is the best time to be alive. We are changing the way healthcare is seen. We are creating awareness. Like I just had dinner with Gary Brecka and his wife Sage and Dr. Asim Malhotra, who's talking out about the vaccines. And these are all personal stories. Like he lost his dad because he was vaccinated. As a cardiologist, he had the CT scan. He knew what happened, what went wrong. Same thing for me. My dad, for sure, the vaccine, 3 vaccines, turbo cancer. So darkness is never going to win because we are stronger, because we are in the light. And it's about changing the world, and the paradigm shift is happening now. We are in it. It is happening. Your podcast and what you're doing is bringing awareness to these people. Also, you are part of it. We are all, as a collective, a part of this big change that's happening. And it's exciting.
It is exciting. It is. And we had Asim on the podcast as well. And look, I just want to say that Asim is, and I did really push on a lot of the stuff that Asim is doing, because we need to make sure that anything that is really at the bleeding edge, because what he's saying is that the bleeding edge is really just very provocative new,
yeah.
Whether right or wrong, needs to be studied.
Well, he has the science to prove it. He has the CT scans to prove it.
But I think what happened with Asim, and what we talk about with the paradigm shift, is something has to change. The question is, are we as a species ready for change? It takes us down one path or the other. And Christian and Drapo and I just talked about this. We are at a fork in the road where things can get very ugly. Or if we take the right turn now, we look at the potential abundance that's coming with AI, with all the amazing kind of attention towards health and wellness, that we could really elevate the whole human experience and really bring everyone up on this journey, not just a few people in Silicon Valley and London and a few other places.
Yeah. We have so much separation, and fixing that, building that bridge back from that separation, that's going to be the challenge.
So I've lived and worked on 6 continents, and I've traveled to 65 countries, and I'm multicultural myself, and I understand what it means to bridge echo chambers. It's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast. Like, how can we increase understanding? And for someone who was born in Seychelles, grew up or spent time in Germany and then the US, you kind of understand what it is like to live in different parts of the world and countries that go through transitionary phase. This is really important. I feel one of the biggest issues with the wellness conscious community, go from California, Texas, wherever, is that often people have just lived in one bubble and understand what one type of person thinks. And a lot of war going on. When I meet people from one side or the other, even people that I fundamentally disagree with, I will come with curiosity and trying to learn and trying to understand as much as possible of why that person thinks that way, and understanding the systems at play. I think the biggest issue we have right now is that I think there's such a lack of understanding of why people are doing what they're doing. It's the vested interest, but there are vested interests right now, and I think it's coming from the mind, it's coming from fear. And I think unless we can take more people on this journey of getting back into the heart. But
it's also miscommunication is a big thing. I don't know. I worked for a news channel, and I really believe that there's compassion and understanding. Everybody's got a story of why so if we would have more understanding for one another, and the compassion to say, why is someone so reactive? Why is someone, why is even Putin the way he is? Like going back and peeling the layers and realizing, everybody is, though deep down, a human. Human life is important, and coming back to that oneness of love, yes. But like getting everyone to just come back and kumbaya love is not so easy with certain people who've gone through trauma and gone through disappointment, and someone who tried to, blackmail them or betray them. And so they become these people over time and getting them to go back without them wanting to invest in personal growth or go deeper is the challenge.
I always say that my safe space is my heart, and when I'm in my heart, where anyone's in their heart, there's no fear. Like, it's a place of. And so when I think about love, for me, it's just being in the heart. It's like, how can we get more people into the heart?
We have a group in the States. We do Coherence energy healings. Okay. So it's kind of Dr. Joe Dispenza has his own community, and then there's this other guy. They do Heal Team 6. Okay. And we'll get on Zoom calls and we'll do evenings in Miami where we just go, no drinking, no nothing. You lay on the bed. We get people who have illness or someone who's about to, and we go in. We did it for my father. I got the group together, put it on the speakerphone, and we all tap in, we meditate, and for 45 minutes, we just give energy and just go into the heart and give energy, because there is a study by NASA where they took these two twins and they sent them up into orbit, one of them, and what she was feeling on the ground on Earth was connecting to the cells. And there's research like that. So we can, as electromagnetic beings, without maybe knowing it, there's science, I can give you energy right now and heal you and give you source, give you love. And that is healing. We all have that capacity when we're tapped in. Some people be listening and thinking, but Natalie, I don't have the resources that you have. I can't work with this person. I live in a country where MDMA and ketamine therapy is... It's free. Online. It's free. Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, on YouTube, there's tons of free education online. There are so many communities nowadays. I've done like 2-3 sessions where it felt like I was in a psychedelic journey, and I wasn't even in a psychedelic journey. You can go to some of these, the Health Summit of Tim here in London or wherever. You can get on some of these neuroacoustic bed or chair where you have vibrations. You can just download for free the Schumacher frequency and play it. All this stuff is free. And now you can even talk to ChatGPT and it'll give you a protocol, and you can ask it, where do I go for something that's free? Yeah. Free audiobooks, free learning stuff. So, and I've done so many things. You go in phases. You can't do everything from 1 to 10 in, like 2 days. So be kind with yourself. I had to work on that too. Be patient with yourself. Love yourself more. All this stuff is for free online. You just need to go after like a couple people and like listen to their podcasts, their audiobooks, it's all there. There's free Kundalini acceleration process, energy healings online. It works through the screen. So there's no excuse anymore. It's just your own limiting belief that's the excuse. Yeah. I think this is the biggest issue. Limiting beliefs. Awareness is obviously the first piece. It's like when you start to realize that we are conditioned by family, by society, by culture, by the stories of our time, people don't realize it because it's just their programming. Yeah. And so how one starts to say, you know what, this is not serving me, it usually comes from a big hit. And so limiting beliefs is an interesting one. It's getting aware of the fact that one is believing something, believing in a certain way. Yes, I've been blessed enough to overcome my own limiting beliefs over and over and over. Some people tell me like, hey, Natalie, how did you get to this spot in your life? And I'm like, how did I? Because I've always been like a very positive kind of person. And like, even if something happens, I'm like, oh, but I've had so many limiting beliefs, and it's okay. That's what I got from, childhood stuff or seeing things and meanings I placed to things. And what's a limiting belief you had? Oh, I remember I went to a Tony Robbins conference and I realized I had my own glass ceiling. I believed that women can't be super successful or more successful than a man, and I'm only supposed to be, my mother's German, my dad Seychelles. I grew up believing that, okay, I'll be a good housewife. I can maybe have like a little job and be good, but I should be a good mother and I should be a housewife, and my husband will be the one who will always make more money than me. And that was my own belief. And the moment I realized that, I was like, oh my God, no, I can, So that was one of them. I have so many of them, like that my value is here. My father passing away, like I was like, nope, I'm worth more. I'm worth this budget or this retainer fee, or I know I can deliver this. I know I can scale this business. So taking those small peanut jobs, like completely transitioned, I transmuted into the negative into the positive, or transmuted the amount into the next level up of my worth, my self-worth. I probably still have self-limiting beliefs on my self-worth, and it's all a next step in the journey. And that's okay, because that's what it is. It's about being present in the moment and in the journey. And, when my father passed away, I didn't think I'd be able to talk to him anymore, right? Well, I can. And I'm actually less alone than before, because now he's with me. If I'm in Timbuktu or in the Seychelles, he's actually with me. He's not on the phone in Costa Rica. So, what other limiting beliefs? It's just a lot of them in business, a lot of them in, stuff with a family member that I thought I could not fix or heal with their well-being.
It's amazing how we are so defined by the stories we tell ourselves.
Yes, and we believe it.
Yeah. And when society tells you, when cultures are formed in certain, like you think about the success of certain cultures. Sure, this is very general, and there are going to be outliers and individuals that exceed or don't in certain cultures. But around the world, you have certain cultures that seem to punch above their weight, or others that you don't see as many people excelling in certain areas. They might excel in others. And so we are often defined by our conditioning, our stories.
100%. 100%.
We're ultimately just human beings that are roaming this earth. And it's even yourself. What I see is an American from your accent, and I see from your energy something that's more open. But if you'd been raised solely in, this is just speaking very general here, but I would have had, and this is my conditioning as well. Because if you were German, as an example, which you are, well, you're part German, and just lived in Germany, I would have expected you to be more closed off. And that's part of my conditioning, my judgment system as well, to think that. So it's...
Oh, and I get a lot of people coming up to me, oh, you're American. I'm like, no, but I say I'm Texan by heart. Aber wenn ich jetzt gleich Bayerisch spreche, then you don't know that I'm a Bavarian girl, right? And I think being born in the Seychelles, going to Germany, I've always had a very open mindset. And I do want to come back to what you're saying, though, like words matter, right? So being born in the Seychelles, I learned conditioning. I'm from a third world country. I'm less than you, and I would have to come into these new countries, new places, and hide the true energy that I am, and have my shoulders back and be proud. I had to like fit into this new world, this new, oh, you're from the Seychelles, or like in Texas, oh, where are you from? Like, you're different, and hide myself. And then I learned, like, why am I from a third world country? No, I'm not. I'm from an emerging market, right? To switch the narrative. Oh, you're going to love this one. So my dad had a tough life after being here and, losing everything. The government took everything, overthrow the government, move to a new country, start all over. It was hard, right? Starting all over. And he used to say, money doesn't grow on trees. And last week, literally, I'm hanging out with my sister and my nephew, and I'm like, you know what? Money grows on trees. Let's take that sentence, and we flipped it, and I'm so excited. My sister now tells my nephew this, and the attitude or that limiting belief and the words is out the door. We've taken the beautiful gift of my father, transmuted it into gratitude, into a learning lesson. Money grows on trees. And as soon as you change that energy, guess what starts happening? Abundance. And it's happening. So like, it's working, it works. Yeah. And it's just that silly change that just completely changed the trajectory, changes everything that starts happening for you, not to me. It didn't happen to me. What happened with my dad happened for me.
It's funny, even with that saying, my analytical brain just went in and thinking, well, money grows on trees, because if we treat nature right, then we're healthier, and then all of a sudden, then we're richer in health, and then we're more open-minded to bring in more money. So it's like a full circle thing that I was thinking about.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, and actually one of my little logos is the tree, because it's the tree of life. We take from the bottom and we just keep going, and we shed the leaves and we grow and we shed the leaves. And I was just super excited about that new sentence.
My coach 2 days ago asked me and a group of us to think about who is someone that really riles you? And I said someone, a friend. And the reason they rile me is because they put me down. And they're not really a friend, a distant friend. They put me down. They like to, well, a former friend. But they put me down every time they see me. And I know the reason they do that is because deep down they were bullied. And it affects me so much because I always look out for the little man. Always. That's my thing. Whenever I see someone, the smallest person in the room, I will look out for that person and try and elevate them, make them feel better about themselves. And so when we think about this oneness, I'm looking at every single organism, human being on this earth, and saying, how can we elevate? How can we see them? How can we make them feel understood?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I want to jump in there because when I hear you tell me that story, I have compassion in that moment for him, because I think he has massive insecurity. And so his way of giving back, where he somehow feels insecure, right, from whatever happened in his life and trajectory, he feels like he has to do that. And you're being triggered. Why? So your gift in this is to recognize your trigger. And that's a gift for you to learn from. Because yes, the other part that you said, you're looking for the little person that you can protect or whatever. But when you know you're in your power and you can look at him like a little child, see him as that 5-year-old that probably had a parent screaming at him or didn't get the love that he wanted, didn't get cuddled, didn't get the attention. And you can look at them from that place. You cannot even react or be triggered, because you're like, I feel sorry for them. I feel compassion, complete understanding that, like, maybe they think what you're doing is just like incredible and never be able to do that. You don't know. We never know what's going on with other people.
But often it is. It's often that, that we talk about the tall poppy syndrome in the UK and in Australia and a few other countries, but it's the idea that when a poppy sticks up and above others, or a person elevates themselves, it's like, get back here, mate. Get back in your place.
Yeah. And
that's really ingrained in the culture. And that's why people, and again, we think about the American mindset or the North American mindset, that's been built over decades and centuries of migration and dopamine and being optimistic and looking forward and looking at the abundance, and also the abundance of land and opportunity in the US. But I think the people in the UK and Australia and other parts of the Commonwealth are realizing this. It's like, we don't have to be tied to this way of thinking, and this way of thinking is keeping us in our place. It's small-minded.
Yes, small hearts, small minds. And you're still finding your people, your tribe, and you're growing from that. So he's just a part in your way to be like, okay, I acknowledge this, I work on my trigger, and then you find the right people. We've all had that. And the only way we can grow is through these experiences. Like, my sister wanted for a while to just protect my nephew, not have too many friends, homeschooling. I'm like, no, the only way he's going to learn, and you're going to give him the tools forever and to become, the only way I've evolved into this person that I am is through those disappointments, betrayals, people putting me down. I've had all of that. Honey, I switched so many schools in different countries. I was always like the different one that didn't fit in. And that has transformed me into this person now where like, I don't care what walk of life you are, where you are in the room. I know I can communicate and understand you. And I also, little to middle to big, whatever person. And you also remind me of this thing I did with my coach. It's called the part and parcels party. So she said, pick 3 horrible people in your life and take 3 good people and put them all in the same party, like evil people. So like, I don't know, I picked like Putin and, what was it? Like I picked like 3 like evil people. Evil was a word. And then 3 good people. One was my dad and what's his name? Oceanographer. Anyways, and they put them in the room. She says, tell me what their conversations are like. Tell me what this person's conversation. And what I learned through that exercise was that no matter how you see this person as evil, they have some good points and they have some things you can learn from them. They're not just purely 100% evil. And it was really to me like, oh, okay. I would have never seen this. I thought they're just like, I think Mussolini was one of them too, so you saw that they added value in some perspective to another human's life with some kind of conversation, like, oh, they're good businessmen, or, oh, they were, great to their animals, or, oh, they were, I don't know. So
this is such an important point that we have to really hammer home, because we live in a very polarized world, and it's amazing how easy it is to understand both sides. I understand with every single conflict, situation. I'll say this openly. When you understand every person's story and background and why they are the way they are, and really start to unpick it and unravel it, you can start seeing people and why they do things. And that's the thing that needs to happen right now in this world. It's like how we can create bridges. I think for me, that is the most important thing, as well as trying to regulate a dysregulated environment.
Well, I agree with you too. I want to be that bridge, crossing the boundaries, crossing the different cultures and worlds with all the stuff that's going on in politics. And I feel like wellness and longevity is the way. And the obstacle is the way, and you're doing it with consciousness. I do believe that we're stronger. I believe that community is growing more awareness, and I'm excited. People that I meet, people like you, having this in-depth, like we're having different conversations now. We're going straight into the meaningful depth of a convo versus just like, hey, what are you doing next summer? What trip are you going on? Or what, shoes did you buy or whatever, right? We're having...
It's funny you say that, because I am recently single, well, not recently, but it's been about a year. And I was having a chat with a friend about how some people in the UK, when they're asked the question, what is your purpose on a first date? They're like, what the hell? That's like, why? What is such a deep question? And in my head, I'm like, what? I'm like, I just thought that was just like, having a question around purpose is just something that it's just a normal question. Yeah. But I think maybe there's a shift where people are, it's maybe, I think that one of the issues with this, and I realize my conversation has gone down so many little rabbit holes, and but it's, human beings aren't meant to work 5-6 days a week. We're meant to literally work for like a couple hours a day, have sex, eat, sleep, and not really do much else, like socialize a bit. And so I really hope with AI that we'll see an abundance of opportunity, of time to explore oneself and to sit with oneself. And hopefully, social media sorts itself out, and we are speaking to Asim about this, that we can really set about some bans, especially for younger kids, with these devices.
Yes. I agree with you. I try to shut off my social media, and I try to really be present in the moment. And like you, I'm also single, and I find it, challenging to allow someone in very often, because I'm just like, ugh, that's just a little shallow. And so I'd rather sit in a room where I know I'm being heard, really being heard, truly, and being able to share my depth, So, but I feel blessed that I've really been finding this community, and also just allowing versus trying to control and be in the flow, and knowing that it's happening and coming to me, and it's all in divine timing.
I always ask my guests a question. It's around your crystal ball, and I want to go into it. By 2030, what does the world look like to you, and why?
I am hoping that the whole gang of, ruining health gang, I'm going to say it very general in that way. I do have my names and my thoughts, but depending if they take control or not, although I feel like RFK and all these guys are, changing the way that we see things, I think that there's going to be different communities in different countries. I think that we do have a few bad things coming. I think they will try another vaccine. I do think that they want to control through, crypto or government and politics. So my goal is to have my plan B, beautiful place in the Seychelles where I know I can still live my life in natural energy versus, being watched. I think that AI will be a big part of freedom and time and growth. I think that we're going to have the guys that want, that want money and have greed, and we're going to have the conscious community, and those two are going to be rising in multiple layers down of these various groups, whether, it's social media or Google or these kind of, or health, and the health community, I think, is one of the biggest places where we're going to see it happening, and it's already evolving. And I think we'll be able to, I think people are going to be choosing sides, choosing where they live. I hope we'll be able to, teleport in time. That would be my dream. Yeah, crystal ball. My choice is to just spend more time around nature. Mother Nature to me is source. And so that's where my crystal ball will be while all this stuff is happening, so that it doesn't affect my health and my sadness and my, having to watch what's going on.
For those that, again, would you recommend for our listeners then something in terms of how you see the world unfolding? Is there something that you would say, do this?
Yeah. Awareness, curiosity, learning, watching podcasts, being a part of it. And I think about this a lot now. Should I have a louder voice? Should I really stand behind certain things with, the assassination in America, and seeing that there really are these other people that really believe, in murder as a solution. So should I be stronger in my voice? And I think that, we can't be silent. We shouldn't be silent. So that's something that's going on for me right now. But for others, I would say, think about what matters to you. You have one life to live. This is it. I always say, call your parents, say, I love you, because you never know what's happening when. Learn, be aware, grow. Don't believe just the TV. Have multiple outlets where you can have a source of information, and maybe find 1 or 2 or 5 people that you truly trust and learn more about. To me, growth is the most important thing. So I would say growth, spiritual, physical growth, is what I would hope that people take and improve in their life.
Natalie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
really
you.
Love this deep dive.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks.
Hey, give me a hug.
Ooh.
If you want to know what tomorrow has in store like I do, you definitely want to listen to our recent episode where I talked to Peter Diamandis about a future where we could live forever. Thank you so much.